Tracy, I just sent you the link.
Okay, I'm waiting on it to come through.
No problem.
Oh, wow. Y'all hadn't started yet?
Oh, ma'am, we're starting right now.
Yeah.
Right on time.
Okay, I have them posted. Let me just go verify they're working correctly.
Let's start
Not them.
I'm gonna bring everybody in right now, working on that too.
Okay. Okay, it looks like we're good to go.
All right, Dr. Bordelon, I'm just waiting for everybody to come back in and then you'll be good to start your meeting.
Okay.
Tracy, you published the link on the web page?
I did. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, Dr. Bordelon, you have a quorum. Everybody's back.
Good morning, everybody. Need to call the advisory committee meeting to order. Please know any comments by the public are welcome and can be emailed to publiccomment@lsbme.la.gov. Dr. Collada, please confirm you verified the identity of all tele and video conference participants.
This time we have verified such.
If the sound is clear and audible to the public and those on the tele and video conference as well.
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Davis.
We ready to go?
Yes, sir, yours.
So the minutes of the meeting, I think, have been emailed to everybody, or a rough draft of those.
Dr. Van can also pull them up if you need.
I can show them. Hang on a second. Let me share my screen. Can you all see that? Is it big enough for y'all to view?
Ah, yes.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Bigger.
Any discussion of the meetings minutes?
And Dr. Joe, you have no public comment at this time.
Okay. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion to accept, yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Judson?
Aye.
Okay. The next issue was the rules and regulation. As y'all recall, most of our meeting last time was regarding the rules and regs, and we did make a suggested modification, and that went to the board. Do we have any idea what the comments from what the board was thought of that recommendation?
So the board,
Go ahead,
the board
Fred.
approved it, and we've started that process. So I mean, that ball's already rolling, and your rules will be changed as quickly as we can get them changed.
Awesome. Any comments or questions?
And you have no public comment at this time, sir.
Okay. Do we need to do something else as well as that we're required to do now?
On the rules and regs, no, we're waiting for, the legislature to approve some stuff. And then there will be a time where there'll be public comments that I think that we should probably review, but we'll bring that to you and we'll give you like more of an updated when we have like specific times for this process. So maybe the next month or the month after when we have a little bit, a better scope on like what the timeline is. But we'll let you know. But right now, no, we're pushing that ball.
Okay.
Lauren, did you also want to speak at this time about what they asked you to look up as well, as far as the patient role educator?
Oh, sure. Last month we talked about potentially getting a new class of licensure for sleep educators. So I looked into that and I looked around for the other states. I couldn't find another state that had that as a licensure class of its own. I was actually surprised at how few states had polysomnographers as their own license class. A lot of them are just exceptions to the respiratory care, rules. And then they just use the national like BPRT and things like that, licensing or classification, however, certifications as their, vetting process. So I don't know how much we necessarily would need a new separate license class for sleep educators. If y'all want to do that, I mean, that's totally up to y'all. It's the prerogative of, this committee. But it seems like it's kind of encompassed in what y'all already regulate. And we can just suggest, if there is a big interest in becoming specifically that people go through, the certification process of these, national organizations, and they can kind of be their own thing, but also still under the umbrella of this committee and this licensing.
The only reason I think it came up is that somebody in our community was using a sleep educator and was having trouble getting them an NPI number or something. But I mean, there's just not, looking around, I haven't found many people that have gone and gotten that specific training. So it may be something we just wait until there's more of a groundspring of people that are doing this, because I'm just not seeing a lot of people out there. Somebody in my office was going to go for it and decided to do the SDS instead. And so I think I only know of one person in my community.
And after the meeting last time, Dr. Van shared with me, it was like a BPRT kind of fact sheet for sleep educators, and they had a bunch of suggestions on how to code things for that. So we can definitely share with y'all if that was the issue. There are some resources out there, but it did seem like reading that it was new. Like there's even a portion in that saying like how to get hired or how to convince your doctor to hire a sleep educator in the office. So I agree that it's definitely seems like an emerging part of the industry. But I think for right now, our Polysom rules, which I gotta say, compared to the other states, are really thorough, really good. We're one of maybe like 6 other states that even have, fully fleshed out rules. And a lot of them are derivatives, like Maine, I think New Mexico. Like, don't hold me to the names, but I know Maine for sure. They have a lot of copy paste of that. Ours are pretty good. So good job, everybody.
I'd like to share with y'all one thing about that. We can grant them a license. That doesn't mean, and they can get an NPI number, but that doesn't mean the insurance company is going to pay them for it. The trick is if the and this is how you have to think about it. In Louisiana, we have that delegation phenomenon. Basically, the doctor who employs them can delegate that work to them, document that they're trained to do it, keep a log and evaluate them on an annual basis so that if the board ever comes looking, they can show it. And then the doctor can bill for it like he did it in his office. So again, I'm not sure And, we'd have to go back and look, but I don't know that every insurance company is going to pay them whether they have an NPI number or not.
Yeah.
So we can do anything you want in that regard. And then I'd like to also talk to you all about, licensing. Kylie asked me to look at some licensing information. And we have a list over a number of years that's up on our website. I can show it to you, but I'll tell you, you won't be able to see it because it's such a big, busy page. It's got all 15 of our license classes, and we expanded the clinical lab people. So it's got about 20, 25 classes over about 20 years. You can see the trend on the licenses over time to 23. And we have fewer licensees now than we did 3 or 4 years ago. Having said that, we're always looking to make it as easy to get licensed as possible. And we only have right now, when I talked to Kylie the other day and sent her the information, we had 6. And as of this morning, I just ran the report once the meeting started, we only have 4, and all of them submitted their payments in April of 24. So we're very on new licenses. If you want to see it, I can show you the table. But I think there's a mechanism we can research, and I want to know if y'all want to do this. One of the things that I'm looking at as I work in the respiratory therapy compact area, because I'm on the National Compact Committee, is the respiratory therapists, when their National Board of Respiratory Therapy, or NBCRT, they verify and second primary source verify their training, their education, school, and that kind of stuff. And I don't know if you want to look into the possibility of utilizing certification, requiring maintenance of certification, and that way we could get the license to them easier, and we could avoid temporary licenses, because if you pass the test, you pass the test. If you don't pass the test, you don't pass the test. And then we could get them, we'd have fewer steps to get them licensed. We wouldn't have to verify a lot of stuff. And all we would really need to do is verify the certification. If the 2 organizations that certify these people are doing the same thing as the NBCRT, which is primary source verification for everything. Are you even interested in doing that to shorten the licensing process?
I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. So you're going to use.
Okay. I don't know. You have 2 different people that can license our polysomnographic technicians. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them may or may not, and I don't know which ones do. I have to go in to do some research in it. But for example, if we require a high school diploma, we require an approved course of training and certification. But if the certifying agency has done the work to verify high school and or the work to verify their training program is valid, why do we do it? We just take the certification. So that's 2 less steps possibly for us, or maybe at least 1 for sure. But if we do that, there'll be no temporary license. There'll just be, you pass your certification, give a certificate, we'll give you your license. And we would say that, you have to maintain your certification throughout your licensing career. And it's going to be so much easier. I mean, I know people want to get them to work, all that kind of good stuff, but this may be a simpler, quicker way to license them. And I can tell you, this historical information about criminal background checks is no longer valid. We are very good with our criminal background checks now. We are 5 to 7 working days. So that's not a problem. So anything I can do to cut off a few more days is going to be shorten my time to license. But like I said, everybody we got, and that's 4 licenses that are pending right now, they all applied in April. So I can't do much better than that.
I mean, it makes sense not to replicate that work. And so I'm all for it.
All right, well, I'll look into it and report back to you all at the next meeting. How's that?
Sounds good.
Now, let me ask you something. If we find out that one certification agency does it and the other one doesn't, we'll talk about what we can do at that point, because I'll try to make it as standardized as we can. And again, we wouldn't have to be in the business of verifying the schools or anything else anymore. So I'll give you an update on that at the next meeting, whenever you all.
Great.
Right. Thank you.
Also, I was going to say, I just got my license renewed, and it took all of maybe 20 minutes from getting on CE Broker, uploading my stuff, and then switching over. So y'all are doing a fantastic job. So much better than having to wait as long as we used to have to wait. All that it was super duper fast. It was great.
Well, thank you very much. I'm trying to bring the same efficiencies to initial license. My IT people tell me in 2023, there was probably 12 to 15 problems. We're actually think we closed the door on most of those problems just recently as last night, quite frankly. And if that's the case, from 34,000, 35,000 renewals, we had 15 problems. I'm not sure we're going to get much better, but I'm still trying.
Okay,
And at this time, no public comment, Dr. Joe.
okay. I have a question about, there was a change in the physician assistants. Is that just name change or?
Okay, first of all, the state of Louisiana has not changed their name. The national organization is moving to change the name from physician's assistant to physician's associate as they try to move into a more independent concept. However, as far as until Louisiana changes the law, we can change their name, and we're happy to change their name. But until they change the supervision requirements, a Rose by any other name will still be a Rose. But again, that's going to be a legislative issue, and it's going to be very much driven by the politics of that and not by the board.
Have any of the candidates for PAs come through polysomnography tests?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Because you can't be a PA unless you go to PA school. And to my knowledge, we have, I don't know of any double licensing. I can look at it, but I don't think we have any. Everybody I know is a PA, is going to PA school, and then has their certification from the national organization.
Now, how about the respiratory therapists?
Respiratory therapy has a similar situation in that we have a couple of steps we're trying to eliminate with them because of the national board certification for respiratory therapy, respiratory care, and DRC. And that organization, we're going to be working with them to do a similar situation like you are. They have only one certifying agency. They do all primary source verification. So it'll be two steps we can eliminate to help get them licensed faster. And I'm trying to do, if we do that, again, do away with temporary licenses, because the way they have it, they have two levels of certification, but everybody takes the same test. And so it's a cut point on the test. And if you don't get the highest one and you get the second one, that's fine. We grant you a license under that certification. But if you don't get high enough to pass either one, you don't get a certification. We're not going to give you a temporary license. If that's what I'm proposing to them, and everybody has to maintain their certification, I think it's just going to make it easier, faster, and quicker for everybody. Everybody criticizes how long it takes to let you do a license, so I'm looking at every opportunity to shorten it.
Any other comments? Next item is the rules course. Ms. Allens,
Hi. So I've been working with Dr. Bordelon and Kylie on some of the quiz questions and so on and so forth, and we are going to meet next week to have one last conversation. One of the things which occurred, which frequently occurs when I'm working with advisory committee members, is that there are certain issues of concern to the advisory committee members that they want to bring to the attention of new licensees that are not necessarily actually in our rules. So we've been sort of working on a workaround so that our little quiz is testing only on what's in the rules, but we have a separate section, that basically says issues of concern or something, so that these things are mentioned. Because, that always happens when I'm working on one of these courses, where these things are very valid concerns that you want to make sure that someone understands, but they aren't technically in the rules. So we're gonna sort of finish some of that up, and then I'm going to get CE Broker to put the course up, and Dr. Bordelon and Kylie will test it, and then I will probably make it available, but then send an email to the rest of you saying, please take the course and give me any feedback. Because the nice thing about having the courses in CE Broker is that if there's something that somebody wants adjusted, we can do it pretty quickly. And again, mostly these courses are for people who are new to licensure, but we also use them as free CME for people who want to review the rules. And in cases, which is pretty rare for a polysomnographer, but in cases where someone has an issue with the board in terms of violating or possibly violating a rule, we often will ask someone to take these courses on a remedial basis, just as a reminder. So anyway, that's really the status. And as soon as it is up and we've kind of beta tested it in CE Broker, I'll probably also send all of you an email asking you to look at it as well.
I guess we would also, if anybody else has topics that they think we ought to include in the course, some of the ones that we included were number of hours for CME, questions about giving medications to patients, and what to do with trach patients. But it'd be nice to have some other questions if somebody has suggestions for us. Joshua, or Lauren, or Dr. Swab.
Tell me what kind of medications you want to be giving to patients.
We don't want them to be given.
Okay, well, that's not a problem, because it's not allowed anyway. That's what I was trying to figure. Are we looking for a loophole?
Yeah.
No, we're just trying to emphasize to licensees that you can't really do this, but but it's how you phrase, things. Just to make sure we are obeying public meeting laws, once this sort of happens, I will correspond to you all, but they're really, unless you are doing it within the context of a meeting, you'll just have to correspond with me directly.
So these would be questions that are just based on what our rules and regs are for the licensure?
Yes, but as I said, there are still other concerns that people have had about things that may occur in the practice of polysomnography. So what I've basically decided to do in this case is there's just going to be a text section, that sort of says, brings some of these things to the attention, that say these are not necessarily in the rules per se. However, the advisory committee would like you to be aware, or that kind of thing, because there's the rules and then there's other issues which may be important in terms of things that occur but are not technically in the rules. And I do think it's important to differentiate those.
And so I guess there's a fine line between when we put those things in, they're not really in our rules and regs. So, I guess we have to be careful, because I know there's a lot of hospital to hospital rules and regs.
Right. And so anything, so we may want to just say, best practices from but rather than, there's the rules and our regs, but there are things that the advisory committee brought to my attention. And that's what I've been grappling with, and that's why I'm mentioning it now.
Well, but again, Susie, just so you'll understand my concern, and maybe Ms. Wilton will weigh in. If these concerns are not derived from the rules, I'm a little bit worried that we may be putting out something that we shouldn't be putting out. Maybe Ms. Wilton will comment on that.
I agree with that. Unfortunately, I think it's a valuable service. And if there is an issue or a particular item of interest that the advisory committee believes should be disseminated in the form of either an advisory opinion or a statement of position, or just an infomercial in the newsletter or what have you, we should do it that way. But we should keep the rules course clean and limit it to testing knowledge on what the rules and the law say.
Okay. that works for me, because as I said, I was the one who sort of brought this concern to them and saying, you know, this isn't really in the rules. It's important, but so yeah, maybe newsletter is a better little reminders or something in the newsletter rather than in the rules course. I think that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, you could even do it monthly. You could rotate. You could have a little Q&A at the corner for advisory committees and rotate each, every time, and then have the PAs are in May, the OTs are in June, whatever. That'd be a cute little feature you could have.
That sounds excellent.
And at this time, Dr. Joe, you have no public comment.
Okay. I think we've already discussed licensure. Anything? Let's see, next, how long we need for the rules and regs to take effect? What, will we need a response, 3 months or?
Again, there's so many steps into it, and we're going to try our best to expedite them. We have some that are going to take precedence. Joe, I normally tell people with a tailwind, if we're lucky, 6 to 7 months.
Okay.
Because the board has gone on record that it's not just the approval of the rules by the board. They want the state to approve it. They want it to go through the process of oversight and then final governor's approval before we implement any of those rules. So that's our instructions, and their times are really determined by the state's process of rulemaking. And like I said, with a tailwind and luck, 6 to 7 months is my goal.
Okay.
But Lauren will update you at each meeting what step we're at.
So do we need to meet before, say, 6 months then?
Well, I think the advisory committee has other issues it has to address. We want to talk about possibly adding into the rules the changes that we talked about, which can be done if we decide on it. So you might want to meet next month to talk about what you want to do about the issue of trying to decrease the number of days. I'll do my research and come back to you. And if we can, and we can incorporate that into the rules. I'm trying to make this as streamlined as I can for initial licensing and still protect the public. And that's what I'm looking for.
Month or 2 months?
It's your call, whatever you want to do it. 4 months, 2 months, 1 month, 6 weeks, you all make the decision. It's just that once the rules are finalized, we got to start the whole rulemaking process over again to change the licensing issue. So be careful what you wish.
Suggestions, anybody?
2 months, maybe?
Okay.
Person July, in the middle of the summer, somewhere.
2 to 3 months, I agree, somewhere in there.
Yeah. July,
I mean, how does July 12th sound for everyone?
July 12th?
Mhm.
Good with me.
I'm fine with it.
Yes.
Okay. July 12th,
That works for us at 11.
sounds good. Anything else?
And you have no public comments, Dr. Joe?
Move, close?
Sounds good.
Anybody going to ASM? Yeah.
I was going to, but I'm in the process of moving my office, which ends up being a bigger project than I thought.
Are you going, Dr. Bordelon?
It's too close. I've got to find a way of getting there, but time-wise, we have a reunion coming, not a reunion, at 50th anniversary for Dr. Claudia and I.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to be there, Joe. Hope to see you.
I'll be there. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we can shut down. We'll see y'all in July 12th.
Sounds good.
Sounds
Everybody
good.
have a great weekend. Great day.
Y'all too. Bye-bye.
Thanks for all
Have a
your
good
work.
one.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.